This week, I will have been in the cryptocurrency space for 7 years. And in those 7 years, this is the day, July 23rd, 2024, that I am the most confident about the future of crypto in the nearly decade that I have been here. And that is because today, 8 Ethereum ETFs have launched. I'm making this video specifically for anybody who is new to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. You're wondering, what is an ETF? Why is this important? What's an Ethereum? An Ethereum, you probably heard it called that at Thanksgiving. And why should you care? All right, let's roll the clock back. Many years ago, the Winklevoss twins and a company named VanEck started really pushing for a Bitcoin exchange-traded fund, and they didn't really get anywhere. In fact, they got denied over and over and over again, and the reason for this was because the SEC could not prove whether or not, or the SEC claimed that these companies and the Winklevoss twins and VanEck and everybody, that they could not prove whether or not Bitcoin was being manipulated. They couldn't actually prove whether the underlying price of Bitcoin was real or if it was simply a issue of market manipulation. Well, fast forward 5 years, that and many other issues had been ironed out, and after Grayscale won a lawsuit against the SEC where they were attempting to convert their trust into an ETF, the SEC was backed into a corner. They didn't have a choice. They approved 11 Bitcoin spot ETFs in January 11th, January 12th of 2024. That was earlier this year. That was a huge deal for Bitcoin, and ever since then, in the 6 months following those approvals, we have seen almost $18 billion of inflows coming into the Bitcoin market through the ETFs. We have also seen several $100 billion of market capitalization be created in that time as the price of Bitcoin rose from about $45,000 to a recent all-time high of 73. We're currently trading just south of 70 with a new all-time high on the horizon, probably moving on up towards $100,000 and $2.5 to $3 trillion market cap for Bitcoin alone by the end of this year. That brings us to today. Many, including myself, believed it would take a little while for an Ethereum ETF to be approved, but surprisingly, about a month and a half ago, we got wind that 8 Ethereum ETFs were actually approved, just pending the S1 applications being filed and approved so that they could begin trading. That happened yesterday afternoon, and they began trading today on the 23rd of July, 2024, another historic day. Now, here's why this is the day that I've been the most confident in the future of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency since getting into the space. Bitcoin and crypto, when I got into the space, were much smaller. When I got into Bitcoin, it was trading at $3,000. Ethereum was trading south of $200. We purchased Ethereum under $180 before it'd go to 5K. And at that time, it certainly looked like the future was going to be crypto. It certainly looked like the digital financial space, cryptocurrency, was going to mesh with the future financial space. But there's always that kind of tinge of like, is this actually going to work? Like, is this going to be adopted by the mainstream? That really started to be on its way out when the Bitcoin ETF got approved because, well, now it's institutionalized. Now it's on Wall Street. Now you've got stock market traders and investors, major companies that are going to be able to buy Bitcoin very simply. But that left us with one more question. Okay, so Bitcoin was legitimized, but what about the rest of the cryptocurrency space? Maybe Bitcoin is just the only part of the entire equation that's going to be approved. Is this just going to be Bitcoin goes forward and the rest of DeFi gets left behind? Well, we have our answer as of today. No. DeFi, decentralized finance, has been adopted institutionally by the United States of America with the ETF going online. So what is an Ethereum ETF? What does it do? Why is this important to you and the future of the United States stock market? So the Ethereum ETF is a securitized vehicle that packages the commodity that is Ethereum into a vehicle that can be traded on a brokerage account, like on Fidelity or on Charles Schwab or wherever, TD Ameritrade, whatever. You're able to trade Ethereum as a security, even though it's a commodity. Differences. A security has to pass the Howey test. You invest in it for the pursuit of profit. It is a value that is derived by the work of others, etc. You've heard of that before, and it is regulated under the Securities and Exchange Commission, who is very, they are very strict. Ethereum, on the other hand, now we know, is a commodity, which means that it is basically almost like a mineral that you dug up out of the ground. It's not a centralized entity. It's not a company. It's a thing. And the reason that this is different is because it's a thing of the natural world that we created. It's almost like going out into creation and saying, there's a new element, and now we're going to trade it on a stock market. We can't do that, but what we are able to do as humankind, apparently, is create Ethereum and Bitcoin, which are commodities. They are almost laws of nature at this point, and they've been seen that way by the United States federal government and by the regulating bodies. The security that is the Ethereum ETF is now something that is going to be much more adopted because it comes with the same disclosure requirements that any security would come with, which gives it an enormous degree of legitimization. An enormous degree of legitimization. Wall Street, major investors don't really want to invest in the upstart commodity that nobody knows what it is. Like, what is this? I've got no idea. I'm not sure about the future. Now, Bitcoin's been around for 15 years. Ethereum's been around for 10 years. They've got their securitized vehicles, these ETFs, and they're going to see a lot of inflows. Bitcoin in the first 6 months, $17.5 billion of inflows. I'm projecting that for the Ethereum ETF in the first 6 months, we'll see at least $10 billion of inflows, if not more. And this is why that's probably going to happen, and this is why it's important to you. The reason that we're probably going to see at least $10 billion of inflows in Ethereum in the first 6 months is, one, because we saw even more happen on Bitcoin. Two, Bitcoin is seen by many as digital gold. People buy Bitcoin for the purpose of beating inflation. They buy Bitcoin for the purpose of, outpacing the stock market and beating stock market returns. They don't buy Bitcoin because it really does a whole lot. They buy Bitcoin because of who it is. It's almost like influencers that you might watch. You might watch an influencer simply because of their character, simply because of who they are. Maybe they're just really passionate, or maybe they're very well-spoken, or maybe they're really funny. You follow them because of their characteristics. People are buying Bitcoin because of the characteristics that it has. It is low inflationary. It is a great place to store value into the future. Historically, it's done that. Future probably will too. Ethereum, on the other hand, actually does something. Not that Bitcoin done, but Ethereum does something in a completely other way. Ethereum, on the one hand, is a layer 1 application where the entirety of decentralized finance is built on. People borrow money. That's like a cornerstone of modern financial realities. I don't borrow money, but that's something that the vast majority of people do. And so they're going to be able to do that on Ethereum. They are doing that on Ethereum to the tunes of tens of billions of dollars of volume. That is a new way of doing finance that does not involve a bank, which allows you to get a lower interest rate while also not dealing with an institution who you don't trust, who's far away in their ivory tower in Manhattan. Instead, you're able to borrow money from Joe Blow down the street, or, John D. Rockefeller the 15th, who's just trying to raise money and start his little own real estate fortune. But he's lending money on Aave, right? And so when you buy Ethereum, you're buying into this upstart decentralized finance space, which is a really strong competitor to traditional finance. And so Ethereum is almost, by buying the Ethereum ETF or buying Ethereum itself, you're almost just buying like an index fund of DeFi, because anything that goes on in DeFi is going to impact the price of Ethereum. And so that's how the Ethereum price kind of represents DeFi and this next generation of finance. But what should you do about it? We've got a lot of information here, but until we actually apply it, it's just knowledge. But wisdom is knowledge applied. I want you to be wise with this information. I want you to know and understand what I'm saying and then apply it through wisdom. Here's what I want to encourage you to do. First and foremost, get out of all of your debt that is not your mortgage. Get out of all your debt that's not your mortgage. Line them up, smallest to largest, debt snowball it, get rid of it so that you are free. Because what you're going to try and do is trying to invest with money you don't have, because you are giving money every single month to debt payments. Get rid of all of that. Work very hard to get out of it. We had to go through that process. We had to pay off a bunch of debt because we were stupid and went into it in the first place. And we said, I'm going to war. I'm getting out of this. We followed something that we call the financial sovereignty way that we teach on. I will teach you more on that on the channel if you subscribe to the channel. After you do that and you have a written budget, because my goal is for you to go from a chaotic debtor to an intentional investor. That's kind of the pathway. That's what I teach you to do here on this channel. Chaotic debtor, intentional investor. Once you get a budget and you're out of consumer debt, then you are no longer a chaotic debtor. You get to become an intentional investor. And after we've laid that foundation of getting rid of the chaos and the debt through not having a budget and through taking out debt and buying things we can't afford with money we don't have, then we get to be intentional investors. And that's where we do this. We set an investment plan. Same way with getting out of debt, we have a budget. And, maintaining our personal finances, we have a budget. That's a written plan. We have a written plan for our investments. The written plan for our investment here looks like this. Every interval, at least weekly, not more than monthly, not less often than monthly, we're going to invest a certain amount of money into a certain project or certain investment on a certain exchange. So the way that this would look is every Friday at 2 p.m., we will invest, my wife and I will invest, or you and your spouse will invest $100 into Ethereum on crypto.com or on Coinbase, whatever. That's your plan. And with that intentional plan, you get to become an investor. You get a budget, you get out of debt, you write an investment plan, and you execute it. That's how you build wealth. I'm demystifying it, because for the first many years that I was doing this, I find it very enjoyable to build wealth. I was like, man, I'm very good at following direction. I'm very good at following directions if I want to, right? Otherwise, I'm like, I'm not following you. But if I want to follow someone, I do really well with a step-by-step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's your 4 steps. Budget, out of debt, investment plan, execute. If you do that, and Ethereum is part of that 4th step, your actual execution of your investment plan, you're going to be glad that you did, because Ethereum is probably going to 10x in the next decade. Guys, I have Ethereum that is up 15x from where I purchased it. I have Bitcoin that is up well over 10x from where I purchased it 5 years ago. That didn't happen in stocks. They did well, and I encourage you to work on, investing in your retirement accounts. That's great. But don't neglect cryptocurrency either. It's important. And so I'm very, very pleased that the Ethereum ETF went online, not only because it gives us even more confidence, the most confidence we've ever had in the future of Bitcoin, its longevity, the future of Ethereum, its longevity, but also because it has given you an even more appealing, even easier way to buy Ethereum. Now, if you want to self-custody it, great. But if you don't even know what that word means, it's okay to buy the Ethereum ETFs. Pick the one with the lowest fees and the best customer service or whatever, and then go ahead and add it into your retirement accounts, into a brokerage account, however you'd like to do it. Invest for the future, and your future self will thank you. In closing, one of the things I've learned in my many years of working in building wealth is that I want to live a life where I am setting myself up that my future self will thank my current self. Because I've lived a large part of my life looking back and saying, thanks, I don't want that for you. I want you to look back 5 years from now, over the next 5 years that are about to happen, and say, I am so, so, so glad that I did these things that I'm about to do. And that, my friends, is how you can change your life with the Ethereum ETF and build millions of dollars of wealth, so long as you're actually willing to do it. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. We upload every single day. And stay tuned. We got a lot more coming. Peace.